So I'm finally going to be able to bring you an update in regards to everything that's happening in the trade deadline regarding Los Angeles teams and their respective guards. In this video, I hope to give you a little bit more clarity in regards to the Kyle Lowry situation, maybe give you an update on the Victor Oladipo situation. At the time that I'm making this video, there's 30 minutes left in the trade deadline, and give you a piece of breaking news on the Los Angeles Clippers finally being able to acquire a point guard that they really needed. Now, before we get to that, I just want to remind you guys, I am teaming up with Mike Korzemba and Get Like Coop to form a podcast on a separate YouTube channel called Laced Up. And if you subscribe and hit that notification bell, hitting that bell will enter you for a chance to win a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. Now, in addition to that, if you follow me on Instagram and have my notifications turned on, you have also entered for a chance to win an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5. And now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So things have been heating up on the front of Kyle Lowry and a potential trade, and this is where we stand currently. Originally, the Philadelphia 76ers were really pursuing Kyle Lowry. I even went out to say that I felt like it was a foregone conclusion that Kyle Lowry was going to get traded to the Philadelphia 76ers by the trade deadline. Well, the Philadelphia 76ers went ahead and decided to trade for George Hill because the Toronto Raptors wanted Matisse Thybulle and Tyrese Maxey and 2 first-round picks to take back the expiring contract of Kyle Lowry. If Kyle Lowry really wants to return home in the offseason, he could go ahead and sign a free agent contract with the Philadelphia 76ers if it makes sense for them. So, as a result, the Philadelphia 76ers were officially out on Lowry. That left 2 contenders to potentially trade for Kyle Lowry. Well, in reality, 3. The first one being the Clippers, which for some reason Shams didn't really go into detail about that, but I felt like the Clippers would be the most logical destination for him because he has some familiarity with Kawhi Leonard and Serge Ibaka, and I felt like that would be a nice reunion. The Clippers also really needed a point guard, but there was no traction there whatsoever. Now, the second team was the Miami Heat, who remained very interested in him, and the Los Angeles Lakers. The problem is, the Los Angeles Lakers are willing to offer the Toronto Raptors a package involving Dennis Schroeder and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. This is consistent with what I was saying in my report yesterday, that the Lakers were interested in trading Montrezl Harrell, KCP, or Dennis Schroeder. Now, the reason why the Los Angeles Lakers haven't been able to get a trade done for Kyle Lowry so far is because the Toronto Raptors want Talen Horton-Tucker, and the Los Angeles Lakers think that's way too much. No, I'm serious. It's literally, that's the reason why we haven't been able to get Kyle Lowry on the Lakers so far, just because of Talen Horton-Tucker. Now, ironically, the Miami Heat are in a very similar situation. They have offered a trade package that is surrounding Duncan Robinson, and the reason why they haven't been able to officially get a trade done on that front is because they didn't want to include, and you guessed it, Tyler Hero. So at the time that I'm making this video, Kyle Lowry still has not been traded. We're still awaiting word from Victor Oladipo. We still have heard nothing about Lonzo Ball, and quite possibly by the time this video is up, the trade deadline is going to be over. So hopefully I'll be able to provide you guys a further update from that point. Now, moving on to a new breaking news trade that we got revolving 2 individuals that are going to go back to familiar places. Now, I said that there's no way the Clippers could come out of this trade deadline without a point guard. They have been struggling mightily by just going into games without a good offensive-minded point guard and just having Paul George and Kawhi Leonard trying to create offense for themselves. And it just hasn't worked out thus far. So point guard was definitely on the needs list for the Los Angeles Clippers, and thankfully it looks like they have finally been able to address that situation by pretty much poaching a point guard away from their rival. Because according to Adrian Wojnarowski, the Atlanta Hawks have traded Rajon Rondo to the Los Angeles Clippers for Lou Williams, sources tell ESPN. The Clippers are also going to send 2 future second-round picks to the Hawks in this deal, per source. If you ask me, I think this is a remarkable deal for both sides, because on one hand, you have a scorer that fits within the Atlanta Hawks a little bit better than Rajon Rondo did. I'm assuming that the reason why Rajon Rondo was initially brought to the Atlanta Hawks was for mentorship of Trae Young. Now they got a player that could contribute a little bit more to the Atlanta Hawks, get some more meaningful minutes played for them, and who is on a pretty freaking good contract. Now, this isn't to be mistaken with the Lou Williams of old. His numbers have definitely taken a dip this year for the Los Angeles Clippers, averaging 12 points per game, 3 assists per game, shooting 42% from the field and 38% from three. That's a little bit of a dip from his usual numbers, but on top of that, he hasn't been as effective in years past. This is the first time in his entire career since his rookie year that he's posted a negative offensive box plus minus. I'm wondering if that had to do with the toxic culture that the Clippers had, with a head coaching change possibly with Ty Lue coming in. Prior to that, he had Doc Rivers as his head coach the entire time. Needless to say, he's on a really good contract, and he's going to a team where his veteran leadership is definitely going to be coveted. On the flip side, the Los Angeles Clippers get a player that, one, has a reputation for not only winning championships with rival teams. Of course, Rajon Rondo won a championship with the Boston Celtics. Last year, he won a championship with the Los Angeles Lakers, which is the rival of the Boston Celtics. And now he is on the Los Angeles Clippers, which is the rival of the Los Angeles Lakers. But on top of that, they get a player that has a reputation for primarily being a remarkable facilitator and playmaker, and who really knows how to lock in and turn up during playoff games. On top of that, this is a guy that was with the Los Angeles Lakers during their championship run. I'm pretty sure that if the Lakers and the Clippers get into a series, there's no better person that can have intel on the Los Angeles Lakers than Rajon Rondo. Because Rajon Rondo is more than just a basketball player. This is a guy that was very heavily involved in the tactics that the Lakers would employ. He was one of the masterminds behind the way the offense was run. He's a player with significant basketball IQ, and as a result, I really highly doubt he's going to forget the way the Lakers went ahead and played basketball to win a championship last year. So this is a move that goes beyond just regular basketball gameplay. This adds to the Clippers in terms of basketball IQ, in terms of a tactician that could really help create plays for his teammates, and that could potentially give the Clippers a huge advantage should the Clippers end up meeting the Lakers in the NBA playoffs this year. So honestly, I give the Clippers an A. Lou Williams wasn't doing so well with the Clippers this year. He was becoming a bit expendable. They really needed a point guard, and they went ahead and got that point guard while still retaining their defensive point guard in Patrick Beverley. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this trade. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.